Primary ignition.
Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my pre-release guide to Shadows of the Galaxy's leader, Bossk. If this is your first time watching one of my pre-release guides, I always want to start off by saying this guide is going to focus on some of the commons and uncommons found in the Shadow of the Galaxy set that can help build your pre-release deck if you choose to go with Bossk. The reason why I focus on these cards is because they're going to be easily accessible within your within your 6-packs in your pre-release box, rather than focusing on rares and legendaries that may pair really well with characters. Those are going to be few and far between. You're only going to get possibly, minimum of 6 of those cards, and you may not get them in the colors or in the right pairings that you need to really help out your leader. So we're going to focus on some cards that you're going to have easier access to. They're going to fill up your minimum 30 card deck that you need to play at your local pre-release. So let's go ahead and start off with looking at Bossk as a leader and a leader unit. As a leader, Bossk comes in with the ability as an action. You can exhaust him to deal 1 damage to deal a unit with a bounty. You may give it +1/+0 for the phase. So a couple of conditions, right? So it's going to take you an action to use this ability. You want to deal damage to a unit that has a bounty. So that means you're probably going to have to give it 1. But luckily in the pre-release, your opponents may be playing some units that have bounties already on them when they come into play. Then you can choose to give them +1/+0 for the phase. Now, for the most part, you're probably only going to do that if it's your unit that has a bounty. But this is a great way of slowly damaging some of your opponent's units. It also makes you want to play bounties yourself. Now, Bossk deploys when you have 5 or more resources, meaning he can come into play as early as turn 4. He's a 4/6 leader, so he hits pretty well, and he avoids a lot of cards that can really take him down, no pun intended, within the set. Now, he's a 4/6, and his ability changes a little bit. A little bit, meaning it's still about bounties, but it's different. When you collect a bounty now, when he's in play, you can collect the bounty again, using this ability once each round. That means your bounties are going to trigger twice, whether you are defeating a unit with bounty or you're capturing them. Either way, you want to take advantage of this mechanic. Bossk is very aggressive, and I think it's going to reward you to play very low-cost bounties and try to flood the board with a lot of units. You're going to want to avoid going too high when it comes to a unit like Bossk, as far as you're probably going to want to stop once you have 5 or 6 resources, depending on the cards you end up putting in your deck. Let's go ahead and start looking at some of the cards that fit well, that are his red and black, just like him. So within the aspect, the first card we're going to look at is another Trandoshan called Trandoshan Hunters. A big fan of the Hunters here. They're a 5-cost unit that come into play with Overwhelm, meaning any excess damage they do to a unit is going to go straight to your opponent's base. They also are a 6/4. Now that 6 is pretty strong. I really like cards like that, especially if you've been using Bossk to kind of ping a couple of units, because it's going to make that Overwhelm much stronger if you can get 5 or 4 points of damage going straight to that opponent's base. Now, when you play the Trandoshan Hunters, if the enemy has a bounty, you get to give an experience token to the unit itself. So it's very important that, and we'll see this later, to play a lot of low-cost bounties to take advantage of Bossk's abilities and other abilities we see in some of these recommended commons and uncommons. The next card I'm going to recommend is the Punishing One. Dengar's main ship here. It's a 3-cost unit that's a 3/4. Now it says when an upgraded enemy unit is defeated, you may ready this unit once per round. If you're playing bounty cards, those are upgrades, right? So if you're able to put an upgrade on a unit, defeat it, you'll get more value out of Punishing One. And that's kind of the key to this build that we're talking about with Bossk. Now, the next one, not on theme. Not a fan of Trandoshans and Wookiees working together, because that's just not Star Wars for the most part. But as far as card mechanics go, Krasntan has a great pairing with Bossk. So as he says, when played, if an enemy unit has a bounty, you may ready him. As a 5-cost unit, that's a 3/7. I definitely like that kind of ability, right? If Bossk can come out on the same turn as Krasntan, you have a lot of damage sitting there right on the board. Not to mention, when you attack with him, you can choose a ground unit and deal 1 damage to it for each damage on him. So the more damage he takes, which as a Wookiee, he can absorb a lot, the more damage he's going to be able to dish out and hopefully clear out a lot more of your bounties and giving you more rewards along the way. In the cunning aspect, we're going to take a look at Hunter of the Haxian Brood. Now, I think this card's just going to be a staple for villains. It's a great 3-drop that's a 4/3 unit. And as long as an opponent has a bounty, it comes in with a shield. Now, imagine putting that at turn 2. A turn 2 shielded 4/3. That is value. Value that's going to take you all the way to Bossk's deployment stage. Hunter should be able to survive, take out a couple of units, and give you some good momentum going forward. Cunning is known for like these great combat mechanics, and one of them is going to be ambush. One card I don't want us to sleep on is the Chain Code Collector. He's a 4/4/2, and he comes into play with ambush. And on attack, if the defender has a bounty, it gets -4, -0 for this attack. So you're able to keep the Chain Code Collector alive easily and swing into another unit and hopefully defeat it without taking any damage yourself, as long as you're playing the bounty game that Bossk is asking you to play. We can do that a little bit easier by playing some of these commons that are 0-cost upgrades, like Wanted here. So Wanted is a great bounty. It doesn't give your opponent any benefits outside of just having the upgrade on it. And when you defeat the unit, you're able to ready 2 friendly resources. Now with Bossk, you're playing a little bit aggressive. A lot of these units I'm going to recommend going forward are going to be pretty low cost. So you'll find ways of putting a couple of units into play every turn. And Wanted is going to help you get those mechanics going a little bit quicker. So really great to see those 0-cost drops. Let's go ahead and move on to the aggression builds. With the aggression aspect, the card I'm going to recommend is going to be IG-11. So a droid bounty hunter who comes out with 5 resources. He's a 6/5. And it says, if this unit would be captured, defeat him, deal 3 damage to an enemy ground unit instead. Okay, like, that's fine. Like, I'll take it. But the real strength here is not just in the stats alone of a 6/5 for 5, but that on attack, he deals 3 damage to a damaged ground unit, right? So you're just dealing more damage every time you attack. With a character like Bossk, you want your bounties to go off. You want damage to just be stacking. You're dealing damage with Bossk with doing that 1 point. You're using other units that are dealing, spreading out damage, really messing with your opponent. The 0-cost upgrade I'm going to recommend in this aspect is going to be Guild Target. It's so attached enemy unit gains bounty, and you can deal, the bounty says deal 2 damage to a base or 3 damage if it's unique. So let's make that damage work for us, right? If we're going to swing into units, Guild Target is a perfect one to use once Bossk is already deployed, right? That's 4 to 6 points of damage to your opponent's base just for taking out 1 unit. I'm a big fan. Another great way of taking out units is the Tension Block Rescue. It's a 3-cost event that deals 3 damage to a unit and 6 if they've actually captured a card. I'll take it. It's no open fire from Shadows from Spark of Rebellion, but it's still pretty great. A 3 for 3, possibly 6. I think it's a good trade. Now, speaking of removal events, let's take a look at Rivals Fall. This card is what you need to be playing if you end up going blue. It's common slot, so hopefully you get 1 to 2 of them, and it's one that you hold on to for mostly your opponent's leaders or any of your other big bombs that you see while playing your opponent. Because this card comes into play with no conditions. The only thing that matters are these 3 words: defeat a unit. That is it. Defeat a unit. Leader unit, space unit, 10-10, 11-11, 1-3, it's dead. This is a card you want to be playing. So there's not much more I need to say there. But with Vigilance and Bossk, this is where you want to kind of slow down a little bit. Yes, you want to play aggressive with Bossk, but with Vigilance, you have some potential here to do something fun. You can run the Pike Sentinel and a couple other cards that give you good Sentinel abilities. Pike Sentinel is a good one because it's a first turn Sentinel unit. That's a 2/3. It's going to buy you some time. And you want to play with cards like this next one called the Client. A turn 2 card that you can drop with the shielded ability and a 2/5, it's going to be hard to kill. As an action, the client can give a bounty to any unit in play for the phase. And the bounty says once you defeat or capture the unit, heal 5 from a base. I really like this card. It can really reward you for continually swinging into units. It gives you the bounty triggers that you were looking for with some of your other Bossk or red-black cards. And it'll be nice when Bossk is deployed just to heal your base a total of 10 by popping the bounty trigger and Bossk's bounty triggers. So really think the client has a lot of potential here with Bossk. In the command aspect, we're going to take a look at the upgrade Bounty Hunter's Quarry. Bounty Hunter's Quarry is a 1-cost upgrade. I think I prefer this one over the 0 cost in the command aspect. And this says at the attached unit gains bounty, search the top 5 cards of your deck or 10 cards if it's unique, and for a unit that costs 3 or less and play it for 3. So there's a lot of units that cost 3 or less that are uncommons, and even rares in that red-black spot. So I think we're doing really well at adding this kind of card into our deck. A lot of good searching, and the Shadows of the Galaxy has a lot of unique cards. So chances of you putting this on a unique card is going to be pretty strong. So you'll be able to get some good value off of this, as well as, again, if you can trigger this twice when Bossk is deployed, that's 2 more units off of 1 attack and a 1-drop card. That's a lot of value. Next is going to be Crosshair. Crosshair is an interesting one, but I'm going to recommend it for this reason. Bossk has the ability of putting 1 point of damage around. You can really spread it. Crosshair does something very similar. He allows you to deal damage to a unit equal to his power. So you can pay 2 to kind of pump up his power a bit, but even just sitting on 2 that can go anywhere you want really allows you to kind of set up your plays as far as bounties go. If you want, let's say you want one of your opponent's units to have 1 life remaining, but they have, let's say they're a 4/4, use Crosshair, get 2 damage on it, use Bossk's ability, get 1 damage on it. Then you get to the next turn, maybe you get to go first, use Bossk's ability again, finish it off, pop the bounty the way you need to, and use it to your advantage, right? It's all about setting up your plays, and I think Crosshair has that potential of doing that for you. The next card is going to be one that we saw in the Spark set, and it's coming out in Shadows of the Galaxy as a reprint, is Mercenary Company. Now, Mercenary Company, I think, works really well with Bossk because it has Ambush and Overwhelm. It's more of that straight damage coming straight to the opponent's base after the unit is defeated. With cards like Crosshair and Bossk, again, you're setting up your opponent's units for the way you want to take them out and trigger those bounties correctly. So, example, swing in with Mercenary Company on a unit that has 1 health left because you used Crosshair and Bossk as a setup, that's going to be 4 damage to that opponent's base. That's good. That's great. Let's keep it going. In the villain aspect, villain cards are going to be a little bit light as far as commons and uncommons within this set. So 3 I'm going to recommend will fit as far as good potential to add into your cards, but maybe not have the same type of utility or synergy as they would with Bossk. The first one is like No Bargain. No Bargain says for 3 resources, each opponent discards a card from their hand and you draw a card. Okay, you disrupt your opponent's hand, you get 1 in yours. It's fine for 3. The next one is the Black Sun Starfighter. This one is a good one. You would want to play in your deck because not only is it a space unit that there's not that many of in the set, you're getting a space sentinel unit. So it's going to help you avoid any of those big bombs that come your way in the space lane. The last is going to be Hut's Henchman, an underworld unit that costs 4, just that comes into play shielded, and it's a 3/4 unit. You'll get a little value out of this before it dies. I think it's a fine card, but again, villain aspect cards are not, really all set up to help Bossk as much as other cards are. And in the non-aspect card, we're going to take a look at Bounty Guild Initiate, a 1-cost bounty hunter. When you're playing villains in this set, you're going to be playing a lot of bounty hunters. So his ability says, when played, if you controlled another bounty hunter, like Bossk, you can deal 2 damage to a ground unit. Just start spreading damage around, as I said, as we've talked about. As far as upgrades, I'd recommend Rich Reward that says as soon as you defeat the unit, you get 2 experience tokens I think that's a great one. I'll love that when it's 4 when Bossk is deployed. And last card I recommend is the Twin Pod Cloud Car. So it's just a 3-cost space unit that's a test 2/2 and restores for 2. I think the fact that it's a space unit makes it a really easy pick to throw into your deck, especially if you can't find the other colors to go in. It's a great one. You're going to be thankful to have that restore. And for the 2/2, it's not going to be as bad as far as hitting your opponent every couple turns for 2 points of damage. So this is my recommendation as far as it goes for playing Bossk. I hope you do well. I hope you have a great time. Let me know how it goes. And if you end up playing Bossk at your pre-release, let me know how it goes in the comments and what cards worked for you and maybe some that didn't. Anyway, best of luck and may the force be with you.